We'll get started. Hello, my name is Dom Donnelly. I'm the Assistant Athletic Director for Media Relations here at Tusculum College. I'd like to welcome you today for our press conference to introduce our new and the first ever Director of Lacrosse at Tusculum College, Mr. Richard Carrington. In just a moment, Coach Frankie DeBusk, our Director of Athletics, will be introducing Coach Carrington. Kind of give you a little format of how everything's going to go today. Coach DeBusk will speak, talk a little about the process of how we came to this stage in regard to starting our 15th sport here at Tusculum College. He will introduce Coach Carrington. Coach Carrington will make a few brief remarks, and we're going to open it up a little different than we've done in the past. We're going to open for questions, not just from media, but from folks. If you've got any questions about Coach Carrington, you can ask him. Also about the sport, where he's planning to recruit, those types of things. So please feel free to ask those questions. And then after we're done there, all media who are present, we're going to go ahead and we will do one-on-one interviews at that point, okay? So at this time, my pleasure to introduce the Director of Athletics at Tusculum College, Frankie DeBusk.
Thank you very much, Dom. Appreciate everyone coming today. It's exciting time to be a part of Tusculum College, as we all know, and being able to introduce a new sport even makes it more and more exciting. We have a lot of great things happening on our campus, and I think that bringing lacrosse not only to our campus but to our community is going to do so much for our campus community as a whole, Greenville, Greene County, the East Tennessee region. As I started looking through trying to find someone to hire as the Director of Lacrosse, everyone that I spoke to on the phone, I made sure that they were very aware of the fact that within an hour of here, no one's ever heard of lacrosse. Within an hour of here, we probably could not identify a helmet, a stick, a ball, and I use those terms lightly because as I was starting the interview process, I had to confirm exactly what those were all called. I asked Richard to bring a helmet with us today. Truthfully, I had no idea exactly what we were going to need to have at the press conference. He had to ask someone in the world of lacrosse to bring it so we could show exactly what our equipment might look like. It's a very, very new sport, as most of you know. It's probably the only sport that I've ever been associated with that I'm not completely aware of any of the rules, the regulations, the number of people that play. Dom mentioned that you all could ask questions. You can't ask me any questions because I do not know any answers, unfortunately. As we talked about starting this about a year ago, Dr. Moody and I decided that we needed to look for someone that had a background in lacrosse that could come in here and run a program, run a very structured program, be a very disciplined coach. Some of the people that we thought we would be able to attract, they need to have ties to certain regions, certain parts of the country. And I talked to several people about our lacrosse position. And I told Richard this when he was on his interview. I enjoy sitting back, getting to sell Tusculum College to potential coaches and candidates because it reaffirms what a great place we really have here at Tusculum College. And when Richard was here on his interview, he immediately got our attention of the person that we really were looking for to start our program. He's done this once before. He started a Division II lacrosse program at Chestnut Hill up in Pennsylvania. Was very successful bringing student athletes to campus there in a very similar setting. He's got ties to the South Atlantic Conference as he's a Mars Hill graduate, and we won't hold that against him. He's also coached at Mars Hill as he was a player there in the lacrosse world. I spoke to the athletic director at Mars Hill and also spoke to our former athletic director and my former boss, Ed Hoffmeyer, and they continue to give positive raves about Richard Carrington, what kind of person he is and how structured he'll be and be a disciplinarian as we need to bring this new sport onto campus. I'm very excited that we're able to start this. When we started the initial look, we named Richard, or the position, as the Director of Lacrosse, as the head men's lacrosse coach, with the intent to start both men's and women's program. Right now we are going to start the men's program, and we're continuing to do feasibility studies on where we're going with the women, but we will start the women's program. It just will not be immediate at this time. So Richard's getting ready to hit the road running. He's already scheduled some flights up north to start recruiting. I know he's going to Canada and going to New York and going to New Jersey to find lacrosse student athletes that will fit into what we believe in here at Tusculum College. So again, a very exciting day to start our 15th sport here at Tusculum College. I hope it brings a lot of excitement to the community. And without further ado, I would like to introduce our new Director of Lacrosse and head men's lacrosse coach, Mr. Richard Carrington.
Oh, first of all, so happy to be here, and want to send out some thanks. First of all, thanks to my family, who have just been so supportive to me throughout my entire career, and I just don't know where I'd be without them. Next, I'd like to thank Dr. Moody and Coach DeBusk for their confidence in me, and also this unbelievable opportunity. And also I want to send a special thanks to Coach Brian Ankin and the entire VMI family. The experience I had coaching at Virginia Military Institute was life-changing. And in my honest opinion, it's the toughest military school in the country. And I think watching the student athletes, or cadet athletes rather, that compete there and excel there academically have put me in a great position to really build a successful program both on and off the field here at Tusculum. Also, I want to thank all the faculty and staff that have shown up here today. And I've been on campus here, I guess, roughly 24 hours, and I've already had the opportunity to sit down and pick the great minds of Coach Jones, our baseball coach, and also Coach Patel, our men's soccer coach, and our head volleyball coach, Coach Robinson, is actually letting me stay at his house the next couple of days. So I definitely appreciate the time they've spent with me, and just a wealth of knowledge that's going to be much needed moving forward. And I want to be fully honest with you here. It's getting all that knowledge wasn't my first intention. My first intention was hoping that some of that winning from their programs rub off on men's lacrosse. So I don't know, selfish maybe, but I just like to be around people that do things the right way, and hopefully that men's lacrosse will uphold that as well. And in keeping with that, Coach Williams, I know congratulations on a huge win last night. Beating the defending national champions of women's basketball. So when I'm hanging around your office, understand I want some of that winning. What is the vision for Tusculum lacrosse? Yeah, I see the ability to attract students. First of all, academically, just because of the block schedule is an amazing thing. I think to be able to give our student athletes a chance to focus on one class at a time, one exam at a time, and to not be bogged down in classes all day. I think it's a huge benefit, and I know it's going to be appealing to the lacrosse student athletes out there. Additionally, I think just the close-knit community that I've felt in my time here, short time here at Tusculum, has been amazing. And I think that's family is a theme that's huge in lacrosse. Lacrosse overall is a close-knit community. So when you talk about family, it's something that is very important to a lacrosse player. And as far as athletically, this is an exciting time for men's lacrosse in the South. With the South Atlantic Conference adding lacrosse next year as a sponsored sport, this is the perfect time to add a program. And I think that we're gonna we've already received quite a bit of interest from some junior college student athletes, and also some high school student athletes. So I think we're going to be okay in terms of generating some interest. Despite some of our geographical limitations, I think that when we talk about getting into places like Canada, getting into places like New York and up north, a lot of those players, they like home, but they'd much rather be playing where it's a little bit warmer, right? And furthermore, that the indoor facility is it speaks for itself. And when we talk about getting into Canada to recruit, where in Canada they play a different brand of lacrosse. It's called box lacrosse, where it's played indoors, and our facility is perfectly set up for that. So I think that's going to be very appealing for them. And overall, what type of student athlete am I trying to bring in here for our program? I think I kind of revert back to my experience at VMI, where our theme was that it was tough. It's the toughest military institute in the country. Well, I want to bring some of that toughness, some of that willing to fight through some adverse situations. I want to bring that to our program here at Tusculum. I like to say that I see a lot of student athletes out there right now with the Xbox mentality. The Xbox mentality. They're playing their game, and something doesn't go right. They didn't pass the level. They didn't score enough points. Something happened. And what do? You hit the reset button. Well, in life, you can't hit the reset button. In life, you have to have the ability to go through and fight through adverse situations. You have to have that intestinal fortitude to say, you know what, everything's not perfect. Things are not going as I envisioned, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to find a way, and I'm going to work to be successful. So what I'm looking for the next few months here are student athletes that embrace that adversity and say, hey, we know we're a first-year program. We know that there's going to be people saying, well, what is Tusculum Lacrosse, and who are you? Or you're a bunch of freshmen. I want players that are motivated by that and say, you know what? Yeah, we are young, we are inexperienced, we are new, but we're going to go out and we're going to show you that we can be successful and we will be successful. And in my honest opinion, this is this school, Tusculum, it has a 218-year tradition of academic success. So to me, it's a perfect marriage when you talk about introducing America's first sport in lacrosse. And again, we're excited to go out and hit the road and find people that are motivated and driven to be pioneers of lacrosse here at Tusculum. All right, thank you.
Anybody have any questions for Coach? Now's time, any? You're asking questions about the sport of lacrosse, what's it do to them, Coach?
How many players make up a team on the field?
On the field, we play 10 players at a time, and then roster sizes vary, but generally you see about 40 to 50 man squads.
Coach, where are we going to be playing our games at?
We're actually going to be playing right out here at Pioneer Field, which is going to be very, very appealing to our recruits to be able to play in that kind of venue. It's a magnificent facility both for soccer and for football and now for lacrosse as well. So we definitely look forward to playing and competing on that field.
What's the season typically?
Our season, and that's a great question because I think our season has changed dramatically over the last I'd say 4 years or so. But we are traditionally a spring sport, which we'd start competing with games in March, but more and more as the game starts to spread, we see our season beginning earlier and earlier. So there will be games as early as early February this year.
How many games is the season?
That depends on the philosophy of the coach. I'll say right now the philosophy for our program will be that we're allowed 17 competitions. I don't know if we need 17 competitions. I think it's more important for us to go out and find the teams that we need to compete against, of course our conference opponents, but out of conference, let's go out and challenge ourselves and invite some teams from up north to come down and compete against us. Let's look for some other in-region opponents that may be out of conference that they're going to be in a decent proximity that we can go and compete against. But when you talk about introducing a conference tournament and the potential for postseason, that season can become pretty long. So what I don't want to do is I don't want to set our program, our team up to start to fizzle out towards the end of the season. We should be peaking in late spring, not fading out.
Any other questions?
How would you relate the sport to other sports? For example, with the physicalness of football and the finesse of hockey. Just explain a little bit about what somebody who comes out and has never seen a lacrosse game, what they can expect.
Absolutely, and I'm a little bit biased. I'm a huge basketball fan, but to me, lacrosse is basketball. Certainly, you can find components when you talk about physicality, components of football and hockey. But to me, when we talk about the way that we prepare, the way that we implement plays, the way that we coach, it is basketball.
What's going to be your major focus in training?
With a brand new program, that's a pretty big question because there's so many areas that we need to tackle. But one of the biggest pieces when you talk about coming from high school to college, especially in a sport that a collision sport like lacrosse, we need to get bigger. We need to make sure that we're in the weight room and that we're on a program that's going to help us compete at our top physical level. In terms of strategy, I think that we're going to be an up-tempo team. Again, that's one of the main reasons I'm going to be spending some time up in Canada, in the next month or two, because I want to find guys that can play fast and that can score goals, because that's what we're going to do. We're not going to be one of these teams that sit on the ball and that are boring to watch. One way or the other, we're going to be exciting to watch. And again, it's my task to go out and find the players that are going to make that possible for us. you talk about lacrosse overall, the culture of our sport is changing. And where for the last 10 years or so, I'd say we've been very overcoached on the field, and the game has gotten slower and slower. Well, I'm just coming from the convention in Baltimore, and there were some heated arguments about implementation of the shot clock, how it would be done, if we were taking the correct measures and implementing it. So it's coming. The shot clock is coming, and our game is changing, and I want to make sure that when it does change, that we have the personnel to excel.
What are some of the other Division II programs, the ones that are kind of the standard bearers in Division II, the ones that you're going to want to try and emulate, some of the schools that people at Tusculum might be familiar with?
Well, in the South, I think that, again, a program like Mars Hill that I have a lot of history with, obviously, is one that I was a part of the second, not the first, but the second team there ever in Mars Hill history. So I think that our building process will be similar to theirs, but I think that we certainly have some advantages in terms of where the game is now as opposed to when Mars Hill started. Obviously, Limestone is a school that everyone needs to beat in the South, and it's one that if you're able to compete against Limestone, if you're able to win a game against Limestone, you give yourself a pretty good shot at making it to the national stage. Now, that being said, it's not an easy task. Limestone doesn't lose a lot of games in the South. Up north, I think of programs like Mercyhurst, out in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, or excuse me, Lake Erie rather, and they're coming off. They're 2 years removed from a national championship. They're not on Long Island. They're not in upstate New York. They're a little bit outside of things, but they found their recruiting niche, and they've been highly successful. So I envision Tusculum following that model.
More questions? Coach, thank you very much.
Thank you.